Hello from inside the camper, everyone. Today is Saturday, September the 15th, 2018. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am feeling very strange being a caricaturist not working on a Saturday. This is normally my bill-paying day, but right now, Hurricane Florence is wreaking havoc on the North Carolina, South Carolina coast. Wilmington in particular is getting torn up, and we're getting a lot of the aftermath. A lot of high winds and rain. Not enough really to feel like it's a life-threatening thing, but definitely do not want to open a fair or set up a 10 by 10 right now. So they have postponed the fair. Now, being as a day like this, it's going to be mostly just a ramen noodles and video games kind of day. I figured, why not just embrace the theme and make this a combination cooking video and video games. Well, I'm going to be answering a question about the Game Boy Color that was sent to me by video from one of my best supporters. So I'm going to choose one of these strange ramen noodles that I got from the Asian markets. A couple of them I got from the Austell market, one of them I got from another one, and this one is actually more of just a classic American. So I'm going to pick one of these, cook it, add some stuff to it, try to improve it, and then get to that video question. Now, if this goes well, I would like to make it a regular bit on my channel. So if you liked it, you can show your support by taking a video of yourself, asking me a complicated question about video games you think you might be able to stump me with, and just like I'm doing on this video, I will include it in the vlog and answer your question to the best of my ability. Now, today's choices are instant noodle, barbecue chicken stir fry, instant chow mein, artificial pork flavor instant noodles, or just regular beef flavor top ramen. I think I'm going to start with this one because it feels like there's a nice big flavor pack in there, and well, honestly, it just looks prettier, and so I think that'd be a good one to start with. Oh my goodness, 5 different flavors in this flavor pack. Okay, Nestor, that is not your ramen. I'm now going to go ahead and add all these flavor packs. Now here's where you got to be careful with these, because you don't know if one of these is like that stuff that makes it really, really hot. So I'm gonna test. Okay, that's not hot. So that one's okay to put in there. This one. Okay, yeah, that's not hot either. So that's all of the flavor packs that came with the ramen noodles. Get that stirred in there really nice. The first thing is, I've got a bunch of chunks of rotisserie chicken left over from last night, so I'm gonna put that in there. Of course, that is the obvious choice, being as this is supposed to be flavored like barbecue chicken. And the unexpected one, I'm gonna throw in some cottage cheese. If you guys remember my cooking video about how to make the perfect whole wheat macaroni and cheese, I added cottage cheese to that as well. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I love cottage cheese. And if you've never tried adding it to your ramen noodles, well, you are missing out. And so now the taste test. I was not expecting to really taste the barbecue in there because this came from an Asian market and barbecue is such an American thing, but I was wrong. I really do taste a nice barbecue flavor in there. And there's also a little bit of a spicy bite to it, but not so much that it's uncomfortable. I gotta say, this is really good. So that's gonna be it for the first half of this video. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off now so I can enjoy the rest of these wonderful noodles, and then we'll get to the second half. Okay, so here is the video question that was sent to me by Miss Danielle Fries. I'm not sure why I've gotten her last name wrong last few times I mentioned her. I apologize, Danielle.
Hi Ashley. Remember a while ago I told you I had found my Game Boy Color? Well, when you brought yours up, the yellow one, it led me to ask you a question. What is this thing on top that says COM? Do you know what this is for? What's it for? Had it for so long, but I never understood. And I actually have two games to mine. Ramen, and this one, like I told you, the Pac-Man puzzle one. And I can't get Ramen to work. It'll come up and it just says Game Boy Color, but that's all it'll do for Ramen. Now the Pac-Man one works great. Oh, and I also wanted to show you, mine has a back to it. It actually still has the number for service and repairs. And I wanted to have some fun, so I called the number for fun, and it's no longer in service. Can you believe that? I mean, my video games are from 1998. They're 20 years old. And the number to fix the Game Boy Color is no longer in service? Really? But yeah, so if you could answer that, what the COM thing is, it'd be awesome. I'd like to Google it, but I'd rather hear the answer from somebody more knowledgeable than a computer. Okay, hope you have a great week. Take care.
Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for sending in your question. And I am very flattered that you would think I was more knowledgeable than a computer, but in fact, I had to do a little searching myself to figure out what this little black square was for. Anyway, this is the Game Boy in question. This is one I brought up in a pickups video a few weeks ago, and I got it from a roadside swap meet flea market kind of weekday thing for like $2 to $3, and it came with Donkey Kong. This is the newer Donkey Kong, the one that was a pack-in with the Super Game Boy. And so this would have been worth the $3 by itself, actually worth more than $3 by itself. So even if this Game Boy Color doesn't work, it pretty much just came with the game. Back to the black square. This is actually an infrared port. The same kind of technology that those old TV remotes used. This is the same kind of thing. The COMM embossed right below it actually stands for communication, so it's an infrared communications port, but it was not used to play two-player games. You would think it was, but no, two-player games were still played through the old-school cable port, the one that was marked EXT. I believe that stands for either external or extra, but this one actually was more just kind of like a gimmick. It was used in mostly Pokemon games to swap like gifts back and forth, and there was a game called Mission Impossible that actually made it where you could program the Game Boy as though it was a TV remote, and you could program it to like adjust the volume with these two buttons, or go channel to channel, or turn off and on. You could actually do it with this, and it worked. But in order for it to communicate with another Game Boy, they had to be within like 2 inches of each other. So it just was not good for playing two-player games, and it was more of just a gimmick. It was kind of an experiment of its time, and it was rarely used for anything. So there you are. That was what this little black square up here at the top was for. Now you also mentioned that yours still had the battery cover to it, but I was able to go onto eBay and I found a replacement battery cover for $3. So with the $3 I spent on this, and it's $6, so I've got a pair of fresh batteries, and I haven't put the batteries in or tried the new battery cover. So if these two things work, I will have gotten a Game Boy and a like $10 game for $6. So here's to hoping that this thing actually comes on and works. It does not have that phone number on it that you were talking about. Now that phone number actually stayed in service for a long time. Okay, so here we go. Oh, helps if you put it on right side up. Alright. It fits pretty smoothly. I think this is aftermarket. So here we go, for the first time, switching it on. Okay. The power light did not come on. It might be a dud. Well, I had to turn the camera off and work with it a little bit. There was a corroded spot underneath one of the points where the battery was connecting right over here. But after playing around with it a little bit, giving it some love, I was able to get this out of it. See the battery, the light's coming on now, and the sound is now working. The sign wasn't working at first either, but now we got the sound. That the game is starting up. But the start button wasn't working to start the game, and so I had to press down on it really, really hard, and got that to start working. As you can see, like, the over button will work, but the A and B doesn't work. So it's like the more that I just kind of mess around with this and try to work at it, it's like parts of it are just coming back to life. So I'm thinking it's just kind of sat for a long time and corroded, and really I need to get some of these Nintendo screwdrivers, open this thing up and give it a good clean out, and it'll probably work then. I mean, it's already showing signs of life. This next part gets a little bit complicated. The Game Boy Color that you were playing is actually backwards compatible and capable of playing 3 different types of cartridges. The type that you were playing was the black and the clear, but it can also play the gray. The gray is the original Game Boy. Black is Game Boy Color, but can be played on an original Game Boy, but it has color capabilities. And then the clear was originally made only to be played on the Game Boy Color. You got that? Alright, so the 2 that you were playing, your Pac-Man puzzle was a black one, and the Ramen was a clear. And you were saying that the Ramen was not booting up. It was just saying Game Boy Color, and it wasn't going past that screen. Now, while I am not real versed on the inner workings of these little things, I will say that if you look closely, this little circle right here is a battery, and just about every Game Boy Color game has got one of these. And if you look in there and you see some green crud kind of oozing out from around it, that means that that battery has erupted, and it might be causing problems on the inside of it because of that. But actually, that rarely happens. Most of the time when you have a problem with these things, it's because of the pins, the connections. These are not real good quality. They haven't been since the NES. You remember having to blow into them a lot? So here's the first thing I want you to try. Take some isopropylene alcohol, and this is 91%, but the closer you can get to 100%, the better. I think some stores that specialize in electronics and whatnot might sell the 100% because it is good for cleaning off electronics. So dip a Q-tip in it, and you don't want the Q-tip to be dripping wet, you know, just moist. So squeeze it out a little bit. So now you've got that. Now just take that on the inside and just rub it back and forth across the connections. Like that. Now, while these things may appear to be clean visually, when you look at the Q-tip, you can kind of see the yellow there, where some of that is coming off. And for good measure, you might want to try it down here in the connections in here as well. So just do that, and then blow on them. Give them a few seconds to dry. That's the beautiful thing about alcohol, is it dries and goes away quickly with no residue. So once that is done, you try it again, and then if it doesn't come on at that point, there is still one other thing you can try, and that is you just take a regular school eraser, the pink ones, you know, sometimes they're called magic erase, but it's really just a regular pencil eraser. Then just go in there and just really scrub the ends of those connections real good, just scrub them. And you might want to, I don't think that's reaching them, but if you have one of the magic erasers that has that triangle tip to it, you can get it in there and really scrub them. And then after you've scrubbed it real good, you're going to want to get some of that eraser residue out. So just go back in there with that the alcohol swab again, and get all the eraser residue out. And then try it one more time. Now, if that still doesn't work and you've looked at it and you know that the battery is still good, there is one last thing you can try, and it's something that is called reflowing. Just undo this screw. You have to get a special screwdriver to do it. Take the circuit board completely out, and you're going to want to apply some heat to it. And there's a few ways to do that. You can use one of those heat guns that's made for shrink wrap, or a creme brulee torch, and there's also instructions on how to put them into the oven. And it has to be done very carefully. There's a certain temperature and a certain amount of time to leave it in there. And what that does is all of those solder connections that could have like started to shrink up and crack and start to lose their connection, they turn into liquid once again, and they start, they expand out, and they fill up, and they might reach that connection that they were originally connected to, and they reach it again. So it's called reflowing because of that. And it's a very delicate process, but you'll be amazed at how many times an old circuit board from the 90s will come back to life once you've applied heat to it in a certain way. It has to be done carefully. So that's all the tips I have, and if it still doesn't work, you might just have to get yourself another Ramen. Now, I haven't looked it up. I know Ramen Game Boy Color games are not like real common. I don't think they're like a $3 game, but you might have to pay like $15 to get it replaced. But just take a look on eBay, and you might just have to get another one. So there's my tips on how to get your Ramen to start working. Now, fortunately, there are a couple of other really good alternatives to taking your Game Boy Color games mobile. Nintendo made a couple of generations of other handhelds that were backwards compatible with the Game Boy Color. Now, this one I'm holding now is the Game Boy Advance Model 101. Now, the first square one was the Model 100, and it was backlit. You remember how I had to shine the light on the screen in order for you to see it on the Game Boy Color? Now, there are modifications that you can make very cheaply to backlight a Game Boy Color, but this one comes with it already done. And so when it comes on, you can see the screen is lit up. I don't have to shine any lights on it at all. The Model 100 came with the light turned off, and then you would hit the middle button and it would come on and look like this. But the Model 101, it comes on with the light on, and then when you hit it, it actually gets brighter. So this is my favorite Game Boy Advanced that will actually, here, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a Game Boy Advance cartridge right here. But this slot right here is actually backwards compatible with all three previous generations. So quite literally, this little square right here is one of the most versatile consoles ever made, with thousands of games that are possible to play on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of the Game Boy Color games, this one, Tori, and I'm going to play it in a Game Boy Advance Model 101. Okay, here it is playing, and then I'm going to hit the button and let it get brighter, and then you can hit, which one is it? Okay, so if you hit the shoulder button right there, it actually stretches the screen so it'll look like it fills up the screen a little bit more, but it distorts the image just a little bit. And also, if you're like me and you've got these big hands and this little bitty square is a little bit awkward for you, little attachments like this are actually very cheap and easy to find, and it makes it where it can rest into your palms just like this, and makes it a lot easier to play. So I absolutely love this. The only drawback to playing games in this way is the cartridge extends down below like this. So there will be some times where you're playing a game and you forget about that sticking out down there, and if you bump it, actually it takes a little more than you would think, but if you bump it, it's going to error up your game and mess you up. So there's the one drawback to that. And now, one last thing before I end out this video, because we are starting to run a little bit long. Nintendo did make one more product that would play all 4 generations of handhelds right here up on the big screen, and that is something called the Game Boy Player. And the way this works is it actually attaches to the bottom of a GameCube. Then you take like a dime or something and you tighten down the screws, you open up the top, and you place in the needed software, the Game Boy Player. You can see this one's a little bit brown and crackled because when my camper caught fire earlier this year, I melted my old GameCube, but I was able to pry the top off of it and pull this out. So I have not tested this again since then. This is a brand new GameCube, and this is actually the same Game Boy player. You can see how it's just a little bit warped right there. So I have not tried this yet. Ideally, the cartridges go into this slot here, and then they get popped out with this. And you can control them with just GameCube controllers. So let's go ahead and hook it all up and see if it still works. Alright, it's all hooked up, hitting the power now. This time I'm going through S-Video to the larger screen. Come on, please work. Please work, please work, please work. We got a disc reader. No disc. Well, after cleaning the disc off, I got this. It's recognizing it as the Game Boy player. So let's see. Alright, it's looking good. Looking good. And there we have it! Metroid Fusion on S-Video onto a flat screen. Looking pretty. You know what that means? I quite literally have hundreds and hundreds of games that I could play on the flat screen. So I do believe that's going to be it for this one. I want to end this video so that I can get busy playing some of these games. Please, if you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Leave comments, questions, and suggestions. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you'll start receiving notifications. Share this vlog around. I love you all so very much, and I will see you again in the next video.